Los Angeles, 1910s, a city of ambition and sunshine, where fortunes were made, reputations polished, and appearances mattered more than truth. But behind one elegant facade, beneath the glitter of wealth and respectability, a secret festered. For 10 years, a woman's lover lived not across town, not in a rented flat, but hidden in her very own attic, while her husband slept just below, unaware that betrayal breathed above him. This is not simply a story of love. It is a tale of obsession turned to imprisonment, of desire that warped into deceit, and of passion locked away like a ghost in the rafters. And tonight, it is my story to tell. Hello, my name is Walburga Oesterreich, but they call me Dolly. To the world, I was the elegant wife of a wealthy textile manufacturer, hosting dinner parties and traveling in fine automobiles. Our home smelled of new money, silk, and ambition. But what the world never saw was the emptiness behind those walls. Fred, my husband, was a man consumed by business. He had a temper, quick and sharp, like the snap of his suspenders when he came home late at night. His voice thundered through the house when he drank, and I, though dressed in satin, though admired at every gathering, felt as though I were no more than another piece of his property. A wife to show, not a woman to love. I was lonely, achingly lonely. And in that loneliness, desire took root, dangerous and deep. It began so simply. A repairman, that's how I first met him. Otto Sanhuber, young, barely 17, with ink-stained fingers and eyes that carried the hunger of a boy who wanted to become a man. He came to fix a sewing machine, but instead, he awakened something in me. His laugh was nervous, his hands calloused, but his gaze lingered. Oh, how it lingered. What began as glances turned to whispers, and whispers soon became stolen touches in the stillness of afternoon. Otto was gentle where Fred was harsh, adoring where Fred was cold. He looked at me as though I were the sun itself, as though his life depended upon the warmth of my presence. And soon it did. But passion is a dangerous fire. In a city full of curious neighbours and watchful eyes, it became impossible to sneak him in and out. Every knock at the door threatened to expose us. Every creak of the floorboards made my heart race. And so I devised a plan as unthinkable as it was intoxicating. I told Otto he must stay. Not for a night, not for a week, but forever. I led him upstairs to the attic, a cramped space above the bedroom I shared with my husband. There, with only a cot, a lamp, and the scratching of his typewriter for company, Otto became a ghost in my home. My secret. My half-brother, I told Fred and the neighbours when suspicions rose. Yes, I hid my lover in the attic of my house. And he remained there, not for days, not for months, but for 10 long years. Each morning, Otto would rise with the dawn, typing stories of love and peril on his typewriter, stories he hoped one day might be published. By day, he was a shadow, listening as I moved through the rooms below. At night, when Fred was away or asleep in a drunken stupor, Otto would descend, and we would steal hours that felt like lifetimes. The world believed me a devoted wife. But within those walls, I lived 2 lives, hostess and deceiver, wife and mistress, lady of the house and keeper of the attic ghost. And for a time it worked. For a time I believed I had bent fate itself to my will. But fate is not so easily tamed. And secrets have a way of clawing through floorboards, of screaming to be heard. Mine would not remain hidden forever. This was the beginning of my story. If you dare to listen further, stay with me as I unravel what happened in that house, in those 10 years of shadows and silk. And welcome, my dears, to My Candlelight Confessions. The day I first met him is etched into my memory like a photograph faded at the edges, but forever clear at its heart. It was sweltering that afternoon, the kind of Los Angeles heat that makes the air shimmer over the streets. My sewing machine, an essential companion in a household where appearances mattered, had broken down. Fred insisted it be fixed at once, and so a repairman was sent. That repairman was Otto. He was just a boy, truly, 17, thin, with hair the colour of wheat in summer. His hands trembled when he handled the machine, yet there was a spark in him. His eyes, restless and searching, met mine and did not look away. He had a gentleness about him, a softness unspoiled by the world. I remember leaning in as he worked, the faint scent of machine oil mingling with the perfume at my wrist. He blushed when I spoke to him. He stammered when I offered him water. And in that stammer, I saw something Fred had long forgotten how to give me: adoration. Days later, I contrived reasons to summon him again. A squeak in the gears, a stitch gone crooked, always something, always him. And soon repairs gave way to conversations. He told me of his dreams, how he wished to be a writer, to see his words in print. He read dime novels by candlelight and scribbled stories in the margins of scrap paper. He was poor, yes, but there was a hunger in him. And when he looked at me, it was as if I were his entire world. It is a dangerous thing to be worshipped. For a woman starved of tenderness, it is intoxicating. Otto spoke to me as though I were not merely a wife in a gilded cage, but a goddess, a muse, a creature of flame and mystery. In his words, I came alive again. Our first kiss was stolen in the dimness of the pantry, the clatter of dishes muffling our breathless laughter. His lips were clumsy, boyish, yet burning with devotion. I should have stopped then. I should have told him to go and never return. But I did not. Instead, I opened the door wider, inviting him into the chambers of my life, and eventually into my bed. We thought we were clever. Fred was too busy with his factories, too drunk most nights to notice. The neighbours, well, neighbours always gossip, but without proof, words are only smoke. Still, danger lurked with every knock at the door. Otto began to worry. He told me he could not bear the thought of losing me, of being discovered and cast aside. His eyes grew desperate, pleading. And then one evening, as the cicadas hummed outside and the city lights flickered in the distance, I whispered a proposition that would bind us both in a chain of secrecy. "Stay," I told him. "Not just tonight. Stay here, in this house." He stared at me, bewildered. And then I led him upward, to the narrow staircase that creaked beneath our feet, to the attic above our room. It was a small space, stifling and dim, but to him it was heaven, for it meant he would never have to leave me. And so it began. Otto moved in silently, like a shadow slipping into place. He brought his typewriter, his notebooks, his stories. While the world believed him gone, he lived above us, breathing the same air, listening as Fred's footsteps thundered below. "My half-brother," I explained when questions arose. Family always has excuses, and who would dare pry too deeply into the affairs of the Oesterreichs? 10 years. 10 years of stolen nights, whispered promises, and the sound of keys clacking in the attic as Otto poured his dreams into words. 10 years of deception that bound us closer than chains, yet set us on a path toward ruin. For what begins as passion rarely ends as peace. And though I believed I had found a way to have it all, my husband's wealth and my lover's devotion, the walls of my carefully crafted life would soon tremble. And that trembling was only the beginning. There are those who say a secret loses its weight with time, that if you hide it long enough, it settles into silence. But I assure you, secrets do not rest. They throb, they whisper, they scratch against the walls of your mind until the very sound becomes unbearable. For me, that scratching was not only in my thoughts, it was above my very head. The attic became Otto's world. A narrow, suffocating space, its ceiling so low he could barely stand. There was a cot in the corner, a lamp that gave off a weak yellow glow, and his typewriter, a machine that clattered endlessly into the night. When the world believed him vanished, Otto lived like a phantom just beyond the plaster. By day, he moved with the silence of a mouse. He would not step too heavily, nor breathe too loudly, for fear Fred might hear. He read his novels, those dime-store pulp adventures filled with heroes and villains, and he scribbled his own tales in tattered notebooks. His words were his escape, though he never truly escaped. He called himself a skywriter in a cage, and in a way I suppose he was. But when darkness fell and Fred's snores rattled the house, Otto descended. Barefoot, his shadow slipping down the attic stairs, he came to me like a secret lover from another world. His arms were warm, his voice trembling with devotion. Those hours belonged to us alone, stolen beneath the very roof where my husband slept. Still, I knew the risk. If Fred discovered him, the scandal would not only ruin me, it could kill us both. And so I grew clever. To neighbours, I whispered of my half-brother, a strange relative from back home who stayed with us from time to time. To Fred, I soothed his suspicions with charm and laughter, distracting him when questions pricked too close. A husband who drinks deeply and works too often is easier to mislead, but deception weaves a dangerous web. The more threads you spin, the more you must remember where they cross. And each night, as Otto crept down, my heart pounded with fear that one creak of the stair, one cough in the wrong hour, might unravel it all. And yet, there was a thrill in it, a wicked thrill. The world saw me as Fred's obedient wife, hosting luncheons, smiling politely at his colleagues, draped in pearls and silk. But behind those smiles, I lived a second life, a life of passion and daring that no one suspected. I was both lady and liar, both queen and criminal. Otto loved me fiercely, with a devotion that bordered on worship. And though I sometimes pitied his cage above, I also relished it. He belonged entirely to me, his heart, his words, his very existence. No other woman could claim him, for he was mine in every sense. But as the years passed, I noticed a change. His stories grew darker, filled with restless heroes trapped in attics, with lovers doomed to secrecy. His eyes, once bright with youthful longing, sometimes shadowed with something else, something that looked like despair. He never said it aloud, but I knew. 10 years is a long time to live in darkness, no matter how brightly love burns. And I began to wonder how long before the secret I thought I controlled began to control me. For a secret like ours does not sleep. It waits. It hungers. And one day it breaks free. Marriage is supposed to be a sanctuary, a union where two souls find shelter from the world. But in our home, sanctuary was a stranger. Fred and I were bound by vows, yes, but more so by habit, by appearances, by the cold machinery of his fortune. Love, if ever it had been there, was long since ground to dust beneath the weight of his temper. Fred was not a gentle man. His anger rose quickly, hot as a California wildfire, often stoked by whiskey. His fists did not fall upon me, no, but his words struck sharper than any blow. He would thunder through the house, railing against employees, against competitors, against the very air if it dared not move to his liking. And I learned to keep my lips curved in a smile, to soothe him when needed, to hide my true heart where he could never find it. And all the while, above his head, Otto listened. Otto heard every slammed door, every curse, every bitter sigh that echoed in the night. He told me later it tortured him, that he longed to come down, to defend me, to be the husband Fred never was. But he could not. He was a prisoner of our secret, a ghost in the rafters. His frustration grew, his devotion twisted by confinement into jealousy, into despair. And yet, I kept him there. Why? Perhaps because Otto was mine in a way Fred never could be. Perhaps because I delighted in the power of holding two worlds in my hands, society wife below, forbidden lover above. Or perhaps because I feared what freedom might do to us both. The neighbours began to whisper. Fred's absences, his rages, my carefully painted smiles. Such things do not escape watchful eyes. Once a woman remarked on how pale I looked, how often I seemed distracted. I laughed it off, saying my half-brother had been visiting and keeping me busy. She accepted it, though her eyes lingered too long. Fred, too, grew suspicious. He accused me of dalliances more than once, his words slurred with drink. "You're too friendly with the grocer," he barked one evening. "Always chattering with delivery boys." I denied it, feigned offence, played the wounded wife. He stormed away, never imagining the truth was only a staircase above him. Otto's presence began to weigh on me differently as the years dragged on. The attic smelled of ink, sweat and longing, and though he never complained, I saw it in his face, the pallor, the weariness, the madness of solitude. His stories became grim, filled with men who lived like phantoms, women who led them to ruin. He would read them aloud to me at night, his voice trembling, his eyes searching mine as though asking, "How long must this go on?" And yet I could not let him go. Not after all the years, not after all the risks. To release him would be to release the truth, and the truth would destroy me. Fred's temper, Otto's despair, my deception, these were threads woven so tightly that I no longer knew where one ended. and the other began. The house itself seemed to groan with the weight of it, the walls pressing in, the air thick with something inevitable. For though I told myself I had mastered my life, that I had bent fate to my will, I could feel it, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. And storms do not ask permission to break. Secrets can slumber for years, buried beneath layers of lies, but all it takes is one spark for the whole house of cards to come crashing down. That spark came in the summer of 1922, on a night when the air in Los Angeles hung heavy with heat and tempers burned hotter still. Fred had been drinking more than usual. His footsteps staggered through the halls, his voice booming with suspicion, accusation, rage. That evening his eyes carried a strange sharpness, as though he had finally decided to peel back the curtain on my life. He accused me again of being unfaithful, but this time his words cut deeper. He promised to find the truth, no matter the cost. I smiled, I soothed, I played my role. But upstairs, above our very heads, Otto heard everything. For 10 years he had listened, powerless, as Fred thundered and cursed. But that night, something inside him broke. The attic door creaked. I remember the sound, soft, almost innocent, yet it chilled me to my core. Otto descended, his face pale, his hands trembling, and in one of those hands was a revolver. His typewriter's clatter had been replaced by the cold weight of steel. "Leave her alone!" he cried, his voice shaking but fierce. Fred spun around, his face a mask of shock and fury. For an instant, time seemed to stop. My husband staring at the ghost who had lived above him all these years, the boy grown into a man, his secret lover revealed in flesh and blood. "What is this?" Fred roared. What devil is in my house?" Otto raised the gun. His arm wavered, his chest heaving. Fred lunged, his fists clenched, and the room erupted. The two men collided, a blur of rage and desperation. Furniture toppled, glass shattered, the air filled with the sound of struggle. I screamed, whether for Fred or for Otto I cannot say. And then, the shots rang out. The smell of gunpowder scorched the room. Fred staggered, his eyes wide with disbelief. He collapsed to the floor, the life draining from him in crimson pools that stained the rug beneath our feet. Silence followed. Thick, dreadful silence. Only my breath, ragged and panicked, and Otto's sobs broke it. He dropped the gun, staring at me as though waiting for me to banish what had just occurred. I fell to my knees beside Fred. My husband, the man I had once vowed to honor, lay still, his face frozen in shock, his lips parted as if to curse me one last time. But no words came, only silence. Otto's hands shook as he pulled me back. We must make it look like a burglary," he whispered. His voice was frantic, his eyes wild. "No one can know, no one must ever know." And so we staged it. Drawers overturned, jewelry scattered, doors left ajar. To the world it would appear that thieves had broken in, that poor Fred had been struck down by fate, not betrayal. But I knew better. The house was no longer my prison, it was my crime scene. And Otto, my secret, had become my executioner's shadow. As the night gave way to dawn, I stood at the window watching the city stir awake. Outside, the palm trees swayed gently in the morning breeze, as though nothing had changed. But within me, everything had. The storm I had felt gathering for years had finally broken, and in its wake, nothing would ever be the same. And yet, this was not the end. No, my story was only beginning to spill into the streets, into the newspapers, into the courtrooms of America. The world would soon learn the name Walburga Oesterreich, and the man they would call the Batman of Los Angeles. They say that once the truth claws its way into the light, there is no pushing it back into the shadows. But oh, how I tried. For months after Fred's death, I played the grieving widow. Black veils, handkerchiefs damp with tears, a quiver in my voice whenever his name was spoken. The neighbours sent flowers. The police muttered about burglars. And I let the performance carry me. But secrets, like bodies, do not stay buried forever. Otto could not remain my ghost much longer. His heart, once filled with devotion, grew heavy with guilt. And guilt is a poor companion. It whispers in the night, it rattles the bones, it demands release. Years later, it was Otto who broke. He confessed, told them everything, the attic, the affair, the gun. My carefully spun web unraveled thread by thread until the whole sordid tapestry of my life was dragged into the courtroom for the world to gape at. And gape they did. The newspapers feasted upon it. The Los Angeles Times screamed with headlines. Batman of Los Angeles. Lover lived in attic for 10 years. Widow or Black Widow. They painted me as a seductress, a siren who had ensnared a young man and driven him to murder. Others called me a victim, an unloved wife seeking warmth in a cruel marriage. The city was divided. Was I to be pitied or punished? The courtroom itself became theatre. Reporters scribbled furiously, flashing their cameras as I entered each day. I dressed carefully, dark gowns, pearl earrings, a face composed but sorrowful. I knew appearances mattered, and I knew too how to wield them. Otto took the stand, his voice trembling as he recounted his years in the attic. He told them of the stories he wrote by lamplight, the meals I smuggled to him, the whispers in the night. He painted himself as my prisoner, my slave of passion and deceit. Yet when he looked at me, his eyes still flickered with that old devotion. The jury gasped, the papers delighted, and I merely folded my hands and let the tide of drama wash over me. The prosecution called me a manipulator, a spider weaving her web until 2 men were caught and only 1 lived. The defense argued I was lonely, trapped in a loveless marriage, that Otto's act was born of desperation, not of my command. When the verdict came for Otto, the room fell silent. Guilty, but his sentence, shockingly light. Manslaughter. A handful of years, not life. Perhaps the jury pitied him, perhaps they feared the strange magnetism of my presence. But either way, Otto was spared the gallows. And me, I walked free. The charge against me, accessory to murder, dangled over my head, but it never stuck. Time passed, memories blurred, witnesses faltered. The world moved on, as it always does. Yet I remained. Dolly Oesterreich, the woman who hid her lover in the attic, who smiled at her husband by day and took another man's arms by night. To some, I was infamous. To others, unforgettable. But the truth? The truth is that the trial was never about justice. It was about spectacle. It was about giving the world a story so lurid, so unbelievable, that they could not turn away. And in that, we succeeded. Otto became the Batman. I became the widow who outlived her lies. But the story did not end there. No, the years after the trial would tell their own tale. Of freedom, of obscurity, of a woman who learned that even when the headlines fade, the shadows never do. The world has a short memory for scandal. One day, you are the headline, the talk of every parlour, the name whispered with both shock and delight. And the next, you are a relic, a curiosity tucked between yellowed pages of old newspapers. That is how it was for me. For Walburga, Dolly Oesterreich. After the trial, Otto faded into obscurity. A few years behind bars, and then he vanished from the public eye. Perhaps he tried to rebuild his life, to find peace in a world that had long denied him freedom. Perhaps he wandered from town to town, haunted by the rattle of typewriter keys that once kept him company in the attic. The papers lost interest in him. He became a footnote, but I remained. I walked the streets of Los Angeles still, though no longer as the admired hostess draped in silk. Whispers followed me like shadows. That's her, the woman who hid her lover above her husband's bed. Some eyes gazed with pity, others with disgust. Yet some, with fascination. For all my sins, I remained unforgettable. I lived quietly in the years that followed. No longer young, no longer radiant, but still possessing a strange kind of power, the power of survival. Men had tried to cage me, society had tried to condemn me, the world had tried to define me. Yet here I was, still breathing, still walking, still bearing the weight of secrets no verdict could erase. Did I mourn Fred? Sometimes, in moments of silence, I would see his face in the shadows, hear his voice echoing through the halls of memory. Did I regret Otto? In truth, I do not know. For though he was my passion, my devotion, he was also my undoing. Love and ruin were one and the same in his arms. History remembers us with fascination and ridicule. The Batman of Los Angeles, the widow with her lover in the attic. A story too strange to believe, yet too true to deny. And though the years passed, though the world changed, our tale lingered, whispered in true crime circles, immortalized in ink and gossip. But let me tell you this, a woman does not vanish simply because her beauty fades or her crimes grow old. I lingered. I endured. And in the quiet of my later years, I often asked myself, did I shape my destiny, or was I only ever swept along by desire, deceit, and fate? Perhaps both. Perhaps neither. And so my confession ends not with redemption nor with ruin, but with a truth that cannot be erased. I was Dolly Oesterreich. I was wife, lover, deceiver, survivor, and my shadows will forever walk beside me. When you listen to my story, do not ask whether I was innocent or guilty, victim or villain. Ask instead what secrets lie within your own walls. For every house has them, hidden letters, locked boxes, whispers behind closed doors. Mine simply burst forth in a way the world could not ignore. And remember, love, obsession, secrecy, they do not live in the past. They live wherever a heart longs for more than it is given. And sometimes, that longing can kill.